Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you again for joining me. Today we have a quick little review on the new Covergirl foundation. This is a Trueblend matte made foundation, comfort matte, transfer resistant. As you can see, I've been kind of loving on this for about a week. Now they have 40 different colors, which is great, and my color is the N40. Now with this one, I have to say that I've tried it with the mattifying primer, which I'm not normally a primer person, but I used it with the mattifying primer, and this is a matte foundation. It kept my face super matte. That's the kind of, experience that I had with it, and I didn't really like that. I like kind of my oils to peek through later in the day, and then I just used it with the moisturizer, which was perfect because I didn't get too much of oiliness going on. So I've been really loving on this, especially because I work outside all the time. So this is the foundation right here. Now I wouldn't say it's a super full coverage foundation. It's not super sheer. You can kind of build it up a little bit. Now I had tried it with the beauty blender. I didn't really like it with the beauty blender because I felt like it was too sheer with it, and it was kind of absorbing too much of the product. So usually I'm a foundation brush person. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit in the back of my hand. Now, one thing is, you can't go ahead and apply this just by kind of stroking it on, because you are gonna see a little bit of streak marks. So what you wanna do is kind of stipple it on. It does have a little bit of scent to it, like a funny little scent. So you wanna go ahead and stipple it on. As you can see, I only had one little dollop in the back of my hand, and a little bit goes a long way, but as I mentioned before, I am a channel that does not like full coverage foundation. I like to buy full coverage foundation, but I don't like it to look like I'm wearing a mask. I like it to kind of look like my skin. Go ahead and apply that. Usually I skip underneath my eyes so that my foundation and my powder and all that doesn't get too cakey. Now this is another thing about this foundation. You don't really actually have to set it with a powder because it is mattifying. And it's also not one of those that you have to work super hard or super fast because it's gonna matte down or anything like that. It does glide on really nicely, and you could take your time. You don't have to sit there and worry about it drying out quickly. Now, for those of you that have little trouble areas like I have right here, been picking for about a couple months now, what I like to do is I like to get a little bit of moisturizer and a little bit of foundation on the back of my hand, because it's going to warm up that product. And what I like to do is, because if you have like one of those cystic little situations like I do right here, it's kind of crackly and dry. So what I like to do is I like to go over it with my finger with a little bit of moisturizer, and then I go over it with foundation, because that's going to keep that from the foundation sticking and it looking crackly and dry. Because most of the time, most foundation, if you're just kind of, you don't want to also keep layering and caking that, your whole face just to cover one spot. Because I find like a lot of my clients, they keep adding and adding, and then they look really cakey, and you don't want that. So you see how it kind of just covered it? You don't need to go all over your face. And most foundations, like I was going to say if I got sidetracked, most foundations, when you apply it, if you have drier skin, it's going to cling on to that dry patch of skin that's just kind of crunchy there. It's gonna happen. I mean, and it's not that the foundation's bad, that's just what's gonna happen. So this is just one of my little tricks to do so that that just looks really nice and moist. Dog hair. See? And then I also have some spots over here that are kind of dark, so I just kind of go over it with my finger too. And that's one of my little tricks. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of concealer if I could find it. I can't find it. I'm so unprepared all the time. Oh, here it is. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my Rewind. Now, I got this a little bit on the lighter side. As you know, I don't like to put a ton. Now, I'll probably end up putting a ton because it's not coming out. All right, so I've mentioned that I've been playing with this for about a week now, and since I've mentioned 1,000 times, sound like a broken record, I do work outside, so this actually has kept me from getting super shiny Like a little bit of my oils peek out throughout the day, but it's not so bad. And the other thing that I like about it, that it doesn't fade. It stayed on my face the entire time. So that's what it looks like without putting any kind of powder on it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and buff in my favorite e.l.f. powder. This is the finishing powder. I'm just gonna get one of my little Real Technique brushes, and I'm just going to buff that all over my face. And then you're gonna start looking really flawless. Like your skin is just gonna look beautiful and airbrushed. I'm just gonna buff that in. Then I'm gonna go a little bit underneath the eye just to kind of set that foundation and that concealer, mainly concealer. And that's it. I mean, it's really pretty. Now, as far as transfer resistant, I don't know so much about that because it did kind of transfer, not as much as other foundation does, but it does transfer. So I don't know about that part. All right, now I'm gonna go into my Too Faced Natural Face. I'm like loving this. I'm gonna go ahead and bronze my forehead a little bit. And I don't like to do too much, as I've mentioned before. Go underneath my neck because usually the sun does not hit down here. So you wanna kind of bronze it up a little bit or you're not gonna match with the rest of your body. I do like to match my foundations to my body, not to my face, because those are usually different colors and you wanna look completely even. I know, I'm all over the place when I bronze. I just don't want it to look like I've actually done stuff. I just want to naturally look sun-kissed. All right, now I'm going to go into Pink Wink, which is that blush. I'm going to smile lightly. I know, I use the same brush for everything. And this is my BoxyCharm brush, Aesthetica P12, and I've really been loving this brush. All right, and now I'm going to go into my Jeffree Star. This is Siberian Gold. And I'm going in with my Real Techniques brush. Now, another thing I want to say, if you're a Real Techniques fan, these are kind of expensive when you get them at Target or any place like that, but you could actually find these at Ross and TJ Maxx for like $6.99 for the whole set. So that's actually a really good deal. So pay attention when you go to those little stores like that, TJ Maxx and Ross or Marshalls. Well, I think Ross had them too actually, because you could get a really good deal. And that's it. That's just a quick little look. I already did my eyeballs, but the foundation, I really like it. It's nice. It stays on all day. It doesn't get heavy. It does feel like skin. It's very comfortable. It's not super full coverage, but those areas that you need to kind of hide, just go back with it with your finger and it just covers things up nicely, as you could see. And I like it. Remember that if you have oily skin, in my opinion, if you put a mattifier with the foundation, it's going to be way too matte. I usually just use a moisturizer. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye!